I love having an epiphany when I'm doing something or I'm just relaxing. That happened to me over this past weekend, and I want to share it with you. Hello again, everyone. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, we lead, and we inspire. And if you've learned anything about me over the course of some, I don't know, what have we got, 400 or 500 videos already out there? It's that I'm kind of a sports nut. So over the weekend, of course, I was watching the NFL playoffs, the football games, all right? And one of the things that I heard, I want to share with you and expand upon it because it's so simple that it's mind-boggling to me that it just never came to me before in this particular form, in this particular platform. One of the announcers was talking about, well, I was talking to the quarterback, and this particular quarterback he was talking to was Philip Rivers, who's quarterback for Indianapolis Colts. Now, I was talking to Philip Rivers, and I asked him, so what's the difference between the regular season and the playoffs? And Philip Rivers said the difference between the regular season and the playoffs is paying attention to detail on the things that you regularly do. Doing the routine perfectly. I thought about that. And I said to myself, that's not only the difference between regular season and playoffs, that's the difference between someone that just is average, is okay, that just mails it in, versus the person that reaches a level of excellence. And then I started to think of a few different examples of that. All right, and just in football as an example, you know, they start every play by hiking the ball, right? All right, now either the quarterback is right up there under center or he's back a little bit and they hike it, but they start each play exactly the same way. What did I see on the very first play of the game that Pittsburgh played? The center, who was an all-pro, hiked the ball over the head of the quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, who was a first ballot Hall of Famer, on the very first play. The very first thing that you do, the very simplest thing, the exchange between the center and the quarterback. Doing the things that you do routinely, doing them perfectly. Or, as an example, you know, you think about Tom Brady and in his heyday, even so much now, but I mean in his heyday when he was with the Patriots, one of the things that I always admired was he would throw these short passes and you think to yourself, boy, he's not doing anything I can't do. But when he would throw those short passes, he always seemed to hit the receiver in stride so that the guy didn't have to slow down, you know, and he hit him in the pass was right in a perfect place in his hands so that he could just move forward. That little detail, and that's true in basketball too. That was one of the things that made me a somewhat decent player. As I was a pretty good passer, I was a good assist man, and when I had the ball and I got it to a player that was a shooter that was in position, I got him the ball right where he wanted it, right in his wheelhouse, so that there was no thinking about those little details, doing those things. Okay, so those are some things in sports. How, you know what? I want to give you another one from sports because this one's really evident. Do you ever watch them kick a field goal? When they go and they kick a field goal, now all of the field goal kickers are soccer-style field goal kickers, okay? They all kick from the side, and most of them are even former soccer players, all right? But in any case, watch them when they kick the field goal. Think of the things that have to be done in the detail and the practice that's involved. First of all, the guy hiking the ball, the guy that they call it snapping the ball, he snaps the ball. He's got to get the ball at the right pace, at the right place, at the right time. That takes a lot of practice. I mean, that is a detail. If that guy messes up, the whole thing is blown. All right, and how many football games have you seen where the difference between winning and losing is the guy kicking the field goal at the end? That's one example on the field goal. How about the guy that's the holder? He gets the ball, and one of the things that they all do is they get the ball and they take it and they spin it around so that the laces are facing the front. Try it. Have somebody toss you a football, put your foot on the kneel on the ground, and then try and catch the ball, spin it so that the laces are facing the front. You'll see that it's not something that comes easily, that it takes a lot of practice, a lot of coordination. And then the field goal kicker himself. He stands up, he walks over to where the holder is, and then he takes, they've kicked so many field goals, you think that he just like, okay, he's here, then I just have to stand there. No, they take 1 step, 2 step, 3 steps, and then they go into their little routine. Do you follow what I'm saying? It's paying attention to those little details, things that you do, that you have to do on a routine basis, and doing them at an excellent level. And then I started thinking about a restaurant, Eli, that your mom and I used to love to go to. And this particular restaurant, what they did was, the food was very, very good, but there were other restaurants that the food was very, very good. What was it that kind of singled this particular restaurant out above others? That this was like our favorite, our go-to, it's your birthday, okay, I'm taking you to this restaurant. They would have bread that was like so good, and a lot of restaurants have that. I mean, you get the bread and you say to yourself, my goodness, why can't I buy this bread in the supermarket? But they would have this super duper bread, and in addition to the bread, what they would do is they would take a garlic and cut it in half and put it in the oven. And while they give you your, you get the menu when you're there and you're looking and what drinks you want to have, so on and so forth, and then you're looking at the menu, and then the wait person would come to you and they would bring the bread and they would bring the garlic for each person roasted in the oven, and they had a little knife, and and they had this really nice butter, and you take the butter and you put the butter on the bread. And then you take your little knife and you would squeeze out the little pieces of garlic and put it on the bread. And it was just absolutely to die for. We would look forward to, oh boy, we're going to get the bread with the garlic on it. And that was the only restaurant I've ever been to that did that. Now that's such a seemingly simple, easy, inexpensive thing to do. I'm wondering why other restaurants don't do that. I worked with a gentleman named Dan Less. Now, one of the things about Dan was he was an exceptionally good dresser. One of the things that he would always say is, when people come in, if you want to develop people for management, they have to look at you and they have to say, I want to be him, or I want to be her. And so dressing was very, very important. And needless to say, this was not a particularly high point for me, but I was a 3-piece suit man for many, many years, had the nice tie and so on, and my administrative assistant every morning, I would have her check me out, make sure that, okay, tie's on straight, everything's good, so on and so forth. Dan used to say, the key thing to being a good dresser is the accessories. Just having the right tie clip, having the pocket handkerchief. You follow what I'm saying? Those little details are the difference between someone that you just kind of like, all right, he's dressed nicely, and then you take a look and you say, that guy's a sharp dresser. How about your favorite, Eli, or my favorite anyway, Steph Curry? What does he do? You see every day, before every game, he's getting himself in the rhythm. He's having somebody passing the ball. When he goes to the foul line, when these guys go to the foul line, they get the ball, they put their fingers on the seams of the ball. They don't just shoot it, they get it, they feel it. All right, they own it. They pay attention, careful detail to the routine and then they perform at a level of excellence by paying attention to the tiny detail of putting your hand on the seam, bending your legs, and whatever the little things that they do, you know. And one of the things there's just so many different areas where people, if you think about it, what separates the rank and file from those that are excellent. And the last one I want to share with you, Eli, is a lesson for you, something that I do with you all the time. And I do it most of the time when, excuse me, you and I go out to eat and you need some work in this area, so I'm going to help you with this. One of the things that I always do, we go to the restaurant, we're sitting down, we're looking at the menu, all right, maybe we're eating the bread beforehand, whatever, you know, and I wait until the time is right. You and I are having a conversation, you know, I wait until the time is exactly right, and then I'll look and I'll say something to you like, wow, that lady looks exactly like your mother. And you can't help it because I timed it well, and what you do is you look over to see the woman. And at that moment in time, what do I always do? I reach over to your plate and I steal some food from you and I start eating, and then you look back at me and you go, which woman? And then you see me sitting there eating whatever it is you had on your plate, and you give me the look like, oh, you did it to me again. And then later on in the meal, you try and do it to me, but I'm ready. I'm happening. I mean, you're not going to fool me. You have to get the timing right. You have to have the detail right. You have to have the mood right. You have to be in a distracting way. These are the key things, Eli. If you want to be taking food off of my plate in a restaurant, you need to work on your habits. You need to work on your execution. There you go. Not your habits, your execution. All right? So, key point for today. What's the difference between the regular and the playoffs? And the big thing is paying attention to the details on the things that you regularly do. And because we never end a meeting on a philosophical note, let's all get out there and charge! I'm Eli's dad.